Clive Barker Podcast audio commentaries.
Thanks to your generous donations to our Kickstarter funding campaign, Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 3.
Hell on Earth.
Hey guys, welcome to another commentary track from the Clive Barker Podcast. This time we're going to do Hellbound, Hellraiser II. And as usual, we got myself, Joe, Ryan.
Hey.
And Rob.
Hey guys.
And we're going to be having a lot of fun and chatting through this unrated version of Hellbound, which is 99 minutes long, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and
right.
we did a poll, and it was kind of overwhelming. People wanted to do the unrated, longer version, which is kind of replaced the old theatrical version, I think.
What did you vote for, Jose? You voted for something funny.
I voted for what was that choice that you put in, Ryan? I just care about answering polls.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't listen to the podcast, to the Clive Barker Podcast. I just like answering polls.
Well, it's not a lie. I don't listen to it. I just talk through it.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I've listened to some of our episodes just to get back on some things, but yeah.
I'm like 40 episodes behind right now on listening to them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I need to put some episodes on YouTube for our episode archive because we've been taking some out because we can't fit all those episodes in our hosting plan. So
actually,
anyway,
I've been putting them back in now since we switched over to Libsyn. I have unlimited space, but I only have 250 megabytes per month. So
there you go.
Every time we get towards the end of the month, I start cramming in episodes until we run out of space.
Excellent.
So we've got 1 through 9 on there, and then we need 10 through 19. I think still need to go back in.
That's nice. So this was another movie that was written by Peter Atkins, based on, I think, was this based on some feedback from Clive Barker as well?
Both of them came up with the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Worked on the story, yeah.
Yes. And it was directed by Tony Randell, and it's got this wonderful score by Christopher Young, which I think is in some ways even better or more impressive than the first Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this black mask that he
Epic.
made for the opening, it's pretty epic, like you said.
Definitely.
Yeah, it reminds me of how Aliens kind of took themes from Alien, but made them bigger and more epic and more grand, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So as usual, we're going to ask you guys to sync up the movie so you can go through it synced with us. So I would suggest you guys sync it up to as soon as the New World Pictures logo starts. That's when you hit play. So are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, Ryan, do you want to do a countdown?
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
There we go.
Okay, I've got the little globe showing up there, the New World Pictures.
Yeah, which was a company created by Roger Corman.
Oh, that's cool.
Always like that image.
Yeah. So New World Pictures, which was later bought by the guys who ended up producing Hellraiser 3. Larry Coupin and another guy. So this opening is... Oh, go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so this opening, there's 2 different versions of it. One of them has Pinhead showing up saying, "We'll tear your soul apart." And the other one has Frank saying, "Jesus wept." But that's the main difference between the opening.
I was also thinking maybe they did that because they wanted to show more Pinhead, give the fans.
Oh.
I think maybe a selling point for that character.
Mm-hmm. Or because it was too bloody with Frank opening it. So I grew up watching a cut version of Hellbound.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I had a VHS, Portuguese VHS of Hellraiser, and I just saw that thing so many times. So when I saw the new,
I think most years I just had a dubbed copy of it that I because I had 2 VCRs.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I've more than made up for it now.
You know, when they show
I like-
flashbacks of the previous movie, I always like.
I miss that. Them
Yeah.
doing that with movies, you know? They did that with the Friday 13th a lot, and I've been watching those lately, and I always enjoyed how they picked up.
Oh, that's glorious! This opening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like
Oh.
Halloween 2, where it just takes off right where Hellraiser left off.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually was Halloween and Halloween 2 were kind of an inspiration for how the stories were being tied together.
Mm.
I was kind of curious with this extended edition. We don't ever call it like director's cut. In fact, it's not really even hardly mentioned at all that it's a new version. So I'm wondering who was in charge of the changes that were made to this.
That's a good question. Maybe we should tweet or ask that to Tony Randall on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a good. Well, if we can find out, we'll let you know.
So, yeah, but going back to the flashback thing before the movie starts, I always thought that's kind of reminiscent of a little bit of TV shows. You remember when TV shows would show a little bit previously on Hellraiser?
Yeah.
Soap operas do that a lot.
Yeah. I guess it's a way to get you back into the story. Although this one was made almost the very next year, after Hellraiser came out.
Yeah, Peter Atkins was writing the script before the first film was released.
Yeah. I think everybody knew this was
draft.
going to be a big hit or a big deal anyway. So they got started right away. It's kind of a shame that Tony Randall didn't go on to do Hellraiser 3 also.
Yeah, I know that was I think he would have done a lot better job.
I think I remember him saying something in the special features of, I think, maybe the Anchor Bay set or whatever. There was a part where he said he was in a weird time of his life when he was doing this. He was in a dark period of his life. So I don't know. I don't know if he had it in him to make Hellraiser 3, I guess.
Now, if y'all know, I've listened to some of the commentaries on the past Hellbound releases. Tony Randall says he puts a Morse code here, and I don't know what it says. Do y'all know how to
It
read
was
Morse
the
code?
phone number for his production company, I think.
Oh, okay. Thank you. After years,
that was it.
I finally know what it is.
Yeah. And that's the same radio prop that showed up for Hellraiser 3.
Oh, wow.
They called back to the warehouse and they sent them a radio, and it was the same model.
Huh.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is.
And I think this is neat that we actually get to see Doug Bradley without makeup, and that they have an origin for him.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw Doug Bradley's face without makeup.
Because it was a bold move, because in the novella they were like ageless. What was the quote? Ageless beings that stick their head out into a world of rain and failure, something like that. So
what was that from? Like Hellbound Heart?
Yeah, the Hellbound Heart. But so here in Hellraiser 2, they're saying no, they're not ageless. This guy's from World War I.
Right. Oh, there you go.
I love the lighting in this scene.
Yeah, he's just sitting by himself in a big Quonset hut.
Yeah.
And why did he have that little whip on his coat? It's like a riding crop or something.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That box on that shot there, it was actually a big box that they put in front of the camera.
Oh. To give it more detail.
Yeah, to give it a forced perspective and more detail. Yeah.
Oof.
I think it's funny that we see that the box inside is mirrored.
Mm-hmm. So, was that tracking shot supposed to be like he's being dragged through hell, through the labyrinth?
Yes. By the tentacles.
Yeah.
We see that hallway set that's going to be used over and over in this movie.
Yeah.
I guess after you see the movie several times, you end up thinking, I can tell that that's the same set over and over. It's just filmed from different angles.
Yeah.
Yeah. They milked it for sure, but they did a good job.
Well, and that hallway is all you see in Hellraiser, in the original one. That's all you ever see of hell at all. So they expanded it quite a bit.
Hey, you guys, were Pinhead's pins always golden in this movie, or was that like a tint they put later? Because I could swear that the first time I saw the movie, they weren't golden pins.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too just now and thinking,
Yes.
maybe it's just seeing it in high definition is.
Could be, yeah. Like 480 pixels interlaced was not a high resolution format.
Yeah.
I hear that shot of the eye was really hard to do.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Detective Ronson.
This actor is what's his name? He was in Star Wars. He was one of the.
He's one of the pilots.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's like, loosen up. Gets killed.
And the guy, not Trevor, but Kyle. Thank you. He's
Speaking
the guy
of
from Aliens.
Yeah. William Hope, I think, or something Hope.
Right.
Well, it took me a while to realize that was the guy from Aliens, because in Aliens he's got a buzz cut, and his hair's all curly. And
Yeah. Hey, we're back on Dallas Hills Lane.
Yeah, and this is where Tony Randall he confessed that he just didn't realize that in England police don't look like this or carry around guns because he's from the United States.
They actually look like American policemen.
Yeah,
like their
totally.
uniforms and stuff. Yeah.
And he said that's kind of on him, and so I think that these are still kind of supposed to be said in England. It's just this is just kind of an error.
Well, Detective Ronson, he's not British, so again, this doesn't seem to take place in England,
true.
right? It's just weird.
It is weird.
Oh, there goes that.
But she's not that far away from the house that was definitely in England, because Julia was back on her own turf.
I love the depth on this shot. You can see both Kirsty and Ronson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the lighting, with the rain coming down the window.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's probably someone with a hose just spraying it.
Yeah.
Now, I brought this up in the Hellraiser commentary. In the first film, if Christie was at the Chenard Institute, because those doors look the same. The way the rooms even look the same.
This room looks like the same room from Hellraiser 1, where Kirsty is awakens after passing out on the street. Quick bit of trivia. Detective Ronson was initially going to be called Detective Gillette. And both Ronson and Gillette are brands of,
shaving cream.
Shaving cream, lighters and pens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
That's Peter being funny.
Ronson's kind of a jerk, and typically jerks get killed in horror movies, but I think we don't really see him again.
Yeah, that's true.
Interesting enough, though, Peter was going to do, we'll save the story for Hellraiser 3. He had another story with that character.
Oh, really?
That he came up with for part 3. That didn't get used.
Oh, that's cool. And this actress is no, wait, that's not
Catherine Chevalier.
That's not
her.
Chevalier. I always thought that was the same character, that they were they were doing brain surgery on Tiffany's mother. But this is a different person, and arguably probably unnecessary surgery that everybody's just kind of okay with.
Rob, I think you were one of the people who mentioned this that I heard say, but this movie has a lot of the lighting in this movie is very colorful, and you can see that there's some green lights in the background, and when they go into hell, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the colors in Suspiria.
Yeah, it's very Dario Argento kind of lighting, and that was also one of the main inspirations. They wanted to look like that.
Mm-hmm. I like the contrast between the light and the darkness of the background.
Yeah.
Originally, that was not the monologue that Dr. Chenard was saying at the beginning, so they redubbed that later. If you find a copy of the script, you'll be able to read what the monologue was originally. But it was very close in meaning, I guess. I do remember first reading about the main differences between the script and the movie. And back in the 90s, like 94, 95, that's when I started getting access to the internet. And that's when I found this frequently asked questions that was online, where they had like scenes like from the script back when it was supposed to be Kirsty going into hell to rescue her father. That Larry was in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Leviathan-
kind of thought it worked out better this way because it didn't really deserve to go to hell. He didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Peter's always commented that that's something that, like, he was glad that, you know, that whole scene with, like, Larry, or the whole subplot with Larry changed. I was also going to say, you also mentioned the original name of Shenard was changed. Originally it was called Malahide.
Yeah, bad skin.
Yeah.
So and Paul Kane's Servants of Hell book actually used that name.
Yeah,
in
I know.
the
That's what was
story.
cool.
Yeah,
I
that was pretty cool.
really like that.
This is a little bit of a logical leap. I mean, I don't, it doesn't bother me too much, but it is kind of like, wait, how did Kirsty put that together? And he's like, oh, really? Is that how that works? Then I gotta go get that mattress for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kirsty never really sees how Frank resurrected, right? So
Yeah.
and nobody ever mentions it to her or explains it to her. So how did she put two and two together and realize that blood would bring her back?
It's kind of like she somehow put together everything that happened in Hellraiser.
Yeah, well, I guess she's kind of playing the role of the audience member, and we know that happens. So I guess in some way that would explain it. Detective, I just want you to, break the law and deliver an important piece of evidence to my house.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. Not to the Institute, to my house.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
And they're
you
like,
repeat
oh,
stuff.
well, that's not normally how we do things, but you seem like an authoritative kind of person, so I'll do it.
He
Well,
even
this
has an
matte
institute
painting.
named after him.
Yeah, yeah, you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I love these like shots with the glass
Matte painting.
paintings.
Oh,
That the Chenard Institute is actually the office buildings of Pinewood Studios.
Oh,
That's right.
cool.
That's what it is. So this was of course filmed at Pinewood Studios, where they filmed movies like James Bond and Nightbreed and all that stuff.
I think
And here we're seeing Imogen Borman for the first time, Tiffany, and she's actually become pretty active on Facebook and the Hellraiser community, and she goes to conventions now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
She actually
looks
doesn't
the
look
same.
much different. Yeah,
Yeah, she looks the same.
yeah. Yeah, actually, but Ashley Lawrence doesn't really look much different either.
Yeah, they don't.
She just looks more like a 30-year-old version, even though she's older than that.
I really like that scene where they are showing Kirsty walking down the hallway and keeps cutting away to Tiffany solving that wooden puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of course, for a Hellraiser fan, the first thing you think of is like, oh no, it's a wooden puzzle box.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. You think somebody's going to give her one of those somehow.
Right. Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
She's an interesting character. She has a funny story arc, although her story is very gruesome.
Yeah.
It's implied, but
Yeah, it's never really explained exactly what happened to her mother. Did Shenard really kidnap her mother and murder her or something?
That's what it looks like.
What I gathered
Yeah.
from it, yeah.
Yeah. There's all this crazy stuff going on in this institute, and nobody seems to give a rip about it. It's all like, well, it's Shenard's in charge. I don't really like what they're doing in the basement, but it's his place.
yeah, how would he keep that hidden? I mean,
Yeah.
and that's another thing that Paul Kane put in his Servants of Hell book that takes place like 100 years ago. But one of the things that we just missed there was when Kyle gives Kirsty the pills, and he was saying they're only to help you sleep. Originally, the dialogue in the script was different. The dialogue was a little sillier. He was like, "Anyway, let's concentrate on you for a moment. Want to suck on this for me?" And then
And she's
Kirsty
like,
would look up at
"Excuse
him
me."
sharply, He is preferring a pill and grinning facetiously. And she said, "Hey, good joke, Kyle. Do you always come on to the mentally ill?"
Yeah.
That's Peter for you.
That's Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could see that probably wouldn't work with these two actors. You know.
Oh, and Kirsty would say, "Jesus, I'm glad I'm not paying for this place."
Yeah. Now,
Because-
the way when they were shooting that part with, which is Frank,
Yeah.
that as actually though they thought at the time the filmmakers that was supposed to be Larry.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
It was him asking for help.
And Doug Bradley has said that this is his least favorite Hellraiser movie because there's so much going on at once. Like, she's trying to find Larry, who's really Frank, and we got Julia versus Frank, and Dr. Chenard versus Kirsty and Tiffany, and Kirsty versus the Pinhead and the other Cenobites. So there's a huge amount of stuff to follow.
It takes a lot of chances, and I respected it for that.
Yeah.
You know, it tries to give you more bang for the buck, but for the most part, I think they accomplished a lot of good stuff.
The biggest chance, and the thing that took me a long time to forgive this movie, was just the way they so nonchalantly dispatched all of the Cenobites.
Yeah.
And they swapped him out for a guy who just makes puns all the time, like Freddy Krueger, and then he dies. So then there's nobody.
Pleasant day.
Yeah.
Pleasant day, yeah.
105 years.
Now that guy came back in the deleted surgeon scene. If y'all seen that.
Oh,
Yeah.
They actually had
I
some
saw
more,
that.
yeah.
I saw that today in preparation for this, and there was a part where he's like just wheeling himself down the hallway, going like 105 years, 105 years,
Yeah.
105 years. And then he says something to Kirsty and Tiffany as they walk by. It's like, it's all good and fine, but it doesn't cut the mustard or something like that. It's just saying random stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the accountant for Hellbound.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that guy, the screaming guy?
Yeah. Right.
Wow. I had no idea.
They mentioned that in the commentary track.
And there's Frank.
Oliver Smith, right?
Yeah, Oliver Smith.
Who now does voiceover narrations for commercial breaks on a BBC channel, I think. And he also was the guy who did the narration for the documentary Leviathan, the story of Hellraiser and Hellbound.
Yes.
I think Kirsty has a very... she's really good in terms of acting in this movie. She really is.
Yeah.
The intensity of her performance is very striking, especially in this scene.
And it's
Simon,
kind of interesting that all the other characters will all scream, but she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Bamford said if he thought Kirsty had balls in the first film, in this one the balls were filled with semen.
Okay.
I took that he said that from the Leviathan documentary.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, Kirsty is the kind of character who, when she's put under pressure, she doesn't fold, she focuses. So
Yeah.
it's like they put pressure on her and she kind of turns into a diamond instead
Yeah.
of just breaking apart. That's she's the final girl.
And she went into Hellraiser saying, I don't want to be all glamorous, and I want to be grimy and realistic, and it seems like that's kind of carrying forward into this movie too, because she's kind of all sweaty and
Mm-hmm. And her hair is curlier than in the first movie.
yeah.
Like, let me make that clear: the house, not the hospital.
Yeah.
The sets are okay, but sometimes you notice that the sets kind of look a little bit like sets, especially if you're looking at the movie in high definition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. You can,
Yay, the wedding footage.
Mm-hmm.
So the shot for Hellraiser, but it never made it into the movie.
That's right.
supposedly showed Frank acting like an ass, and Julia kind of finds that attractive.
Yeah, for some reason.
It's
It's pretty awful for both of them to do that right on the wedding day.
That little moment with the sex between them, that was cut from the first movie. They added that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This film.
But it's interesting that both Frank and Harry D'Amour have tattoos on their backs. Yeah. Oh, here it comes again.
This is
Another
kind of a
little
record
flashback.
for the most footage from a first movie and making it into the second one.
Oh, sure.
Tony Randall's he's not a real big fan of it either.
Oh, he didn't like that they had to do that?
Yeah, he's not.
I think it's kind of neat, though. I mean, it
I don't mind it at all.
It says, okay, you know, if you didn't see Hellraiser, we got you covered.
Did you guys notice that when Frank comes back to life, we hear like a screeching, like a baby crying?
Yeah.
In this version?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. The sound is a little different.
And his voice was different there. Like it was a different take or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't dubbed over. Maybe it was the original, voice. So, some people say that the special effects are a little dated, and, you have to say, yeah, they are a little dated, especially when it's drawn stuff, the lightning.
Yeah.
But it still works because this movie is from 1987, so you have to,
And
I don't want anybody to go George Lucas on the movie.
No way. Yeah.
Well, and Clive Barker drew that stuff on the film cells himself.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
That's...
Rotoscoping by hand is a very time-consuming process.
Yeah.
Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, it's a pretty long flashback. In retrospect, yeah, they should probably have cut it a little closer to a little shorter.
I guess for pacing, but this film, this film is not about pacing at all. There's so much weird stuff going on all at once.
That's right.
I love that.
One of the things that made this movie not have enough money to do all the things they wanted to do in the beginning was in October 1987, which was really close to the shooting date for this movie, Black Monday hit, which was a stock market crash around the world, and ended up cutting a lot of the budget in terms of converting dollars to pounds and stuff, and they lost a lot of money in the process. So that's why they had to rethink some parts of this movie because their budget was slashed because of Black Monday.
Why Leviathan is a geometrical shape model instead of a monster.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the things. That's why that was changed. Wow, I didn't know they were.
Well, that's why they didn't have enough money to make the movie, more visually interesting. Although I still think it's very visually interesting.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
definitely.
It just kind of forced it into a different creative direction, which is cool.
I'm very fascinated by the stuff on Chenard's walls here, and I've spent years trying to track down and identify all those things. Like that's a tarot card over there on the wall, and then there's like a Tibetan crab engraving that I also discovered. There's some mummies, some Egyptian mummies on the wall. A labyrinth.
The Hand of Glory or something over there.
Yeah, that's right. Next to the monkey skeleton.
Yeah.
So Chenard is kind of Chenard is kind of a mixture between an enlightened man of science, and at the same time he has this underbelly to him, which is
Aleister Crowley or something.
Yeah, exactly. Very into the occult and stuff.
Which is borrowed pretty heavily from Clive Barker, I think, because he'll have characters that don't care about where the lines blur between science and magic.
Oh yeah, like Great and Secret Show.
Yeah.
Like Fletcher, who was a very unorthodox scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting too. They're sort of making this institute like a model for hell, right? You've got everything looking normal above, and then you go down one floor, and and you're basically in hell.
Yeah. I was very reminded of A Nightmare on Elm Street whenever I see this basement.
Oh yeah. Well,
You're
look
right.
at how leaky those pipes are.
God dang, it really are.
That's like, you know how high Dr. Chenard's water bill is?
Yep.
Now, I think some of those shots were taken from the deleted surgeon scene.
I love the fact that on the overhead hallway there, they have like the glass tile wall. You see someone like pushing a cart, and it's like, are they pushing like a dead body in that thing or something?
Oh,
Yeah.
If you actually look on your Blu-ray at what the article says, it has nothing to do with the titles.
Yeah.
I do that a lot too, and sometimes like the first few sentences will, but yeah, on those it didn't have anything to do.
And there's the picture that a lot of Doug Bradley fans have signed by Doug Bradley. Yep, that's the same box. I hope to do that one day. Buy some.
Have
some
three
glass.
of them all with the glass domes?
Yeah.
I had a friend that had a box like that, not all three, but just one in a case like that.
Well, Max sells them, those glass domes. So I have one.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
And there's also
I broke
on
one
Amazon
Max
and stuff.
Sent me a new dome for free.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine Chenard driving to his house in his car with a guy in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
What, like in the passenger seat, or?
Well, do you think
Yeah.
his house is like next door, isn't it? They could have walked over, I guess.
Oh, is it supposed to be? I always wondered about that because it seems like it's in a secluded place in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But then Kyle sort of wandered over from the hospital too, didn't he? I don't know. I don't really know.
That's a good point. And speaking of Aleister Crowley, there is a picture of Aleister Crowley on Chenard's wall.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a famous picture of Aleister Crowley where he's like putting his both his hands close to his face, and he's like pretending like he's got wings.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. Yeah, he's wearing a hat.
This is pretty gruesome, and actually, it's kind of interesting, the performance here by oh gosh, what's his name of that's Chenard. I'm blanking. Just that he's a little bit hesitant. Like I don't know if I should do this. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a little disgusting.
I love the glint of the knife on his face.
Yeah.
Ken Cranham. That's the name you were looking for.
Yeah, Ken Cranham.
Oh, get them off me!
Oh, jeez.
I know, this is so brutal.
This is one of the parts that was the most cut in other versions of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over before it begins.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like Peter Atkins said when he first saw the dailies for this, he was like, "Oh, I wrote this. This isn't gonna be too bad." But he felt like he was gonna throw up.
Yeah. Well, and he actually hurt himself a little bit with it. It was dull, but he still hurt himself with it.
Had all kinds of like red marks all over underneath the makeup.
Right.
He went to town on himself.
He even slashed across his
groin.
Personal area.
Oh.
I love this suit here. I mean, it's just they did a much better job, I think, of the.
Oh, there it is.
Julia's.
Oh, you mean than Frank?
The skinless body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they took a shortcut because she didn't resurrect like the way Frank did.
No, that's right. Yeah. In this case, I guess she came much more reconstituted.
Yeah.
But the person who squirted that blood on Ken Cranham's face was actually Tony Randell with a little squirt gun.
Yeah.
Yep. I think they did in one shot. It's just the music and the music
so
and
this
this whole
is so
sequence.
kind of tribal. Is this music in the soundtrack CD?
I think so.
Oh yeah, now it sounds more Hellraiser.
Poor Mr. Browning.
Yeah.
Browning, that's his name.
Yeah. He's in pretty good shape for all the damage he did to himself.
The part where she puts her hand in the back of his head, that's added, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
that wasn't in
that's
the first versions that I saw. So Deborah Joel, that was the name of the actress who played Skinless Julia. She was a really skinny actress. And, I think I have somewhere on my Facebook a message from Jeff Portas, a comment on an image of Skinless Julia that I posted once, where he was explaining the makeup. I'll see if I can find that, and I'll get back to this.
Overall, it's just a very, gross classic horror scene.
Yeah.
That was definitely something you didn't, see at the time. I guess people were like, "Man, what is this?"
Yeah.
Made people feel really uncomfortable.
An interesting clash is the visual thing of Julia killing a man and then turning around and becoming vulnerable and saying, "Help me."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll just nudge this towards your general direction. There you go.
And except for flashbacks, we've gone a long time in the movie now, and we haven't seen Pinhead at all. And that's kind of become more mandatory later on. You gotta get Pinhead in there early, or
Yeah, you're right.
Or put him in at some point in the movie. Someone has to open the box and he'll show up.
yeah,
doesn't
by
show up.
himself lecturing people.
He never really showed up in the first two movies like that much, and originally in Part 4, he was originally supposed to come in later too.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. They really had to rework the story to make that happen because he didn't even exist in the
Past segment.
Yeah, exactly.
They did a great job on that whole prosthetic thing.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
suit.
yeah.
You see all the veins and stuff, and
Yeah.
The bones and
the spinal column and the rib cage.
yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah, nowadays they would have done it with CGI probably.
Well, you know it.
How do you think that would look CGI wise today?
Fake.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they could make things pulse and stuff, but at the same time it wouldn't look like it's a real object or a real person, standing there with them.
Yeah. I love this shot of the puzzles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thunderstorm means something bad's happening.
I think that's an
Yeah.
Escher painting.
Oh, that's one.
And that's a tangram that she's playing with. That's the name of that thing.
Ah. I love this room.
Look
The
what you
contrast
did
of her
to my
against.
carpet.
I love the contrast with her though against the white here. All this white.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very sterile.
And
And
this
of course, it provides an excellent contrasting backdrop to Julia's bright red.
Yeah. And this part of of the house is so different from the office where he's got all that occult stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the way that she broke that mirror, it just works so well when they're shooting her face through the mirror and it's all distorted like that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's brilliant. That's just genius there.
Was that a space heater on the floor?
Yes, it was.
I think Tony Randell said that he took one of those space heaters home with him.
Okay.
I think I remember that from the commentary track. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, white goes really well with that. That doesn't look creepy at all.
Yeah.
I miss this kind of stuff from these movies. Just weird stuff
Yeah.
like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
odd.
Yeah.
Her smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. So here's some things that were different in the script. For example, Chenard's monologue, while he was operating on the brain of that lady, he was saying something like, "We can bring them back properly more often than scientific orthodoxy dictates, ladies and gentlemen. And the knife, far from the enemy of analysis, is often its greatest ally in solving the puzzles of psychosis." That's pretty cool. And they mirror that scene of the brain operating on the brain in
Hellseeker.
Hellseeker. That's right. Thank you. there's just a tension in this scene. It's like she's smiling, but at the same time, you still feel creeped out. It's like you don't feel like she's... Yeah.
You know, I mean...
And obviously, this is totally a reference to The Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Down to the dress. The Bride of Frankenstein.
Good job with that interpretation of that.
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, you need to, man. It's great.
Oh, wow. I have all those Universal Universal classics when they brought out. Yeah, they had that greenish looking cover.
Yeah.
And they were... I have so many. I have like... Just the Wolfman came with like 3 or 4 discs and had all.
Oh
the
yeah,
Wolfman
you got
movies.
the legacy collections, is what you had.
Yes, I do. Yeah, thank you. That's the first time I saw the Spanish Dracula version.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
I've got those. Yeah, those are very nice.
I have the NECA figurine of Julia.
Yes, I do. I'm staring at it right now.
Julia like this?
Yeah, you can take the bandages off and pop, skinless arms on it and stuff.
They should have made her come with that white suit too.
Right. That would have been cool. Yeah. Because the dress is made out of soft rubber, so you can put it in and out. Now that I'm saying this, I kind of feel like, I'm talking about playing with a doll that you can take clothes off and put on. But
yeah. Hey, it's
hey, who
right,
cares?
Man. Yeah,
it's not Barbie. It's skinless Julia. So who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
And here are the hands of Nicholas Vince and the thighs of Little John from Image Animation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 2 guys.
Yeah.
There's a picture of this somewhere on Nicholas Vince's Facebook where they were shooting the scene.
I didn't know that.
Yep. A controversy line here is when Julia says, "Now all we need is skin," because in England, that could refer to a condom.
Yeah, but Tony Randall talks about that on the commentary.
So that's sort of a double entendre then.
Yeah. I really don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
Smells like a butcher shop in here. Well, if this was done today, I'm sure the shot of Kirsty taking a shower would involve nudity.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
And it seems like that corny line where he's coming on to her doesn't really fit with the character that they made with this actor because he's so innocent.
Yeah.
Here's a review that was posted in the Chicago Sun-Times on December of '98.
Oh, is that Roger Ebert?
No, it's from Peter Keogh from the Chicago Sun-Times. It said, "Hellbound is a sea of mythological images and illusions. There is the Frankenstein myth, the mad doctor who loses control. There's certainly the theme of Orpheus in the underworld, the difference being that it's a daughter in search of her father as opposed to Orpheus looking for Eurydice. Mm-hmm. There is the classic imagery of the labyrinth, the Minotaur, and a whole bunch of allusions to other horror movies. But I don't think any of these things are essential to the picture. They are there for whoever wants them, but for those who want a good time on Friday night, the picture is a roller coaster ride."
That's cool.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert just ripped this movie apart. Yeah.
We ought to put in the show notes the Siskel and Ebert video. There they have it on there on the.
Oh really?
YouTube, yeah. You give it you give it half a star.
Oh God.
Half a star. That's right.
Yeah.
He only gave the first one a 1. So
yeah, that's.
He gave it a star, and he still has that review up on their website. December 23rd, 1988. Yeah. He made fun of the fact that
screaming the name Kirsty.
Yeah, they're screaming the name Kirsty and Tiffany and Kirsty and Tiffany.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said that Hellbound Hellraiser II was an ideal movie for audiences with little taste and atrophied attention spans who want to glance at the screen occasionally and is certain that something is still happening up there. If you fit that description, you have probably not read this far, but what the heck? We believe in full-service reviews around here. Wow. You're welcome.
Jeez.
Talk about
and he also,
confrontational.
later on, he also was in that big long debate with Clive Barker about video games aren't art. Do you remember
Yes. Yeah, that was around the time of Jericho or
Yeah.
Undying or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so he's got some seriously biased opinions, and it seems like he kind of skewers horror movies. And he doesn't take video games seriously, even though they're way harder to make. And
Well, horror has always been kind of a bastard genre.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to like serious cinephiles, they never take it very seriously. Like,
yeah,
They were always hard on films like this. But I will give Ebert credit. He did like Candyman. He gave Candyman 3 stars.
oh really?
And he did like Lord of Illusions.
How do you? Yeah, I wonder what kind of review he would have given to like Hellraiser 8. You know,
I don't know.
it's like if this is half a star, what is Dead or Hellworld? He
Right.
probably
He
wouldn't even watch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably wouldn't watch that.
he pretty
Anything
much
direct
just,
to video.
yeah, that's true. Direct to video is
I'm
not
not
probably
saying he
not
wouldn't
for
watch
Roger
a direct to video film, but like he
Yeah.
would, you know, he likes to sit in a cinema and watch a movie.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Or he
him,
did.
like-
I mean, he's passed on, hadn't he?
Can you
Hasn't he
imagine
passed
him?
on?
Yeah, he did. But could you imagine him sitting down with, okay, we're gonna review Universal Soldier 5 or some
Yeah.
direct to video
Gosh.
movie?
Return of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave.
Yeah,
The
man.
Evil Dead, right? Yeah.
Leprechaun 12.
Oh God, in the hood.
Leprechaun back to the hood.
Did they actually write duh?
Yeah, I think it was. I think so. Back to the hood.
Oh, God.
Well, you knew they would have to
Maybe
do
they
that.
did. I can't remember, but it was something like back to the hood or something.
Yeah, but there's no way to go. There's nowhere to go down from half a star. But we know from experience that the Hellraiser movies get much, much, much worse.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, if this was half a star, I mean, Jesus, what would he have given to? Yeah.
Leonard Maltin gave it I think a 2. Said he
Oh.
liked the visuals,
Yeah.
but then he gave part 3 1.5 as well, and was like, this is starting to make Freddy look good. And then part 4, he gave it a complete bomb.
Yeah.
I was trying to find that Jeff Portis comment on the Juskinus Julia photo, but I guess I'll have to put that in the show notes. I know it was a long time ago, and I didn't have it in an album, so it's probably on my timeline. I have to track it down.
Oh, that's hard to find things on your timeline.
Yes, it is.
That's why I like having a website. I mean, even though, yeah, I mean, we've got a lot more interaction with people on Facebook, but our website is a good repository of everything we've ever done, and it's never hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we don't get a lot of comments on there, I don't mind. But yeah,
Kyle is a little.
Go
It's
ahead.
a little overacting here a little bit, I guess.
Oh, when he sees these bodies.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess. Well, it's kind of hard to.
I like the silhouette of that girl on the wall, though.
I was talking before he opens the door when he finds
Oh.
Julia, but
Yeah.
you'd imagine if you're breaking into someone's house and someone is in there and they see you, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
run out of there. You don't start talking to them.
Yeah. Well, and Julie is trying to trick him into thinking she's one of the victims or something, or she's being held captive, or
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly he thinks she is, but he's kind of.
This is horrible.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah.
It sure took a lot of dead bodies for Julia to get back to the way she used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about how many it took Frank to become human.
He never did grow his skin.
Yeah.
He had to take it.
That's right.
Yeah. Had killed 4 people, maybe, I think, in that movie.
Yeah.
Mhm. There's
She's not
definitely
even finished yet. He's still not finished.
it's a fable-like structure here. You have the princess, it's Kirsty, and
The prince.
the dead king is the father.
Yeah.
But
This was sort of an interesting twist for people seeing the movie the first time, because you think that Kyle's going to be the hero that rescues Kirsty, and he gets murdered. Like a third of the way into the movie.
Isn't that what you call like red herrings?
Yeah.
Like like in Psycho, like you think you're following Janet Leigh for this movie, and
yeah, exactly.
About embezzlement, and then it turns into something different.
Yeah.
I think this the actress's name. Claire Higgins had a lot more fun in this movie. She got to be the evil queen.
That's right.
If she had not put that picture in her pocket, her whole life would be different.
I just wonder how she recognized that that might have been Pinhead, because when you look at it, I don't know. To me, Doug Bradley without makeup just looks so harmless.
Yeah.
And so different from Pinhead. Pinhead has a totally different demeanor. It's. I actually thought for a while that when I first saw this movie that it was just some actor playing, opening the box, and then I realized, wait, no, that is Pinhead. That is the guy who plays Pinhead, later in the movie. So, yeah.
Do y'all think this room kind of resembles the basement from Hellraiser in a way? Not the basement,
room?
but the attic. The attic, yeah.
Yeah, the damp room.
So does Julia have superhuman strength there? I guess she must. I think Frank did also.
Sure, yeah. I mean, she's hellish, so...
Yeah. So this is where the story is way different, because if it were Frank, he would say, "What are you doing? Do not open that box. I don't want them coming for me." But the idea that Julia would allow this to happen, he should probably realize there's something wrong. Because she didn't.
Chenard?
Yeah, Chenard. Because obviously Julia is not like Frank. She didn't escape.
Did you guys see that?
Chenard's kind of what's that?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Chenard's really kind of naive to Julia right now. She's using him.
Everybody is, except for Kirsty, right? And I mean, everybody trusts her. And
did you guys notice that Chenard has a mummy in his office?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Damn. He's got some human jerky there.
Yeah.
This whole room was actually a raised stage, so people could get under it and do stuff. Mm-hmm.
Like to manipulate the box and everything?
I think so.
Simon Says did an excellent job with the box again.
Yeah.
Yes. He was in our podcast not too long ago, and he's actually going to do his 57th chemotherapy cycle, so I think that must be a record.
Wow.
Just keep fighting the good fight.
So Anna Lovat did she do some work for the puzzle box or in this movie, or was it costumes and stuff?
Yeah, I think that was more like that. I think she worked with Simon Stacey's brother, Warwick, and she actually sent a few pictures of behind the scenes stuff. I guess I should add that to the show notes.
And now she makes squishy puzzle boxes like stress ball kind of things.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's who makes
cool.
those. Yeah, I've seen those. Y'all even gave some of those away in past.
Yeah, we did.
That's right.
Yeah, we gave them all away. I never even got one. I wanted one.
Yeah.
We have such squishies to send you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That mummy is in like a provocative pose too.
I know it is. Like it's posing like
like a Playboy centerfold.
Yeah,
like hanging out, like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like an altar thing going on there with I always thought it was kind of silly, the stuff that's written in the chalkboard in Chenard's office. It's just squiggles and stuff.
Oh,
I guess they're supposed to be alchemical symbols and stuff, but it just looks like squiggles.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting here. Is like, would she, with all the lightning and weird stuff happening in the room, would she really want to continue solving that?
I guess she can't help herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you start playing with the box, isn't it like you want to continue?
Yeah,
It
I
makes
think
you
that's
want
that's
to
what
know.
they've set that rule up too. Yeah.
Let's not take that line out of context, because playing with your box means a different thing.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I
now,
didn't
now,
think of
now
that.
thanks a lot. Now we're going to get another comment
It's-
on the.
Yeah,
It's a young girl
sorry, guys,
playing with her
I did
box.
not mean that at all. So
Yeah.
to respect all
Yeah.
women. So
And here Shenard gets horribly mangled by broken glass. Oh, wait, he doesn't.
Well, he's hiding behind the wall, isn't he? I forget.
Hey,
I
who's
don't
shooting all this stuff?
exactly understand where he's at. Why does he have an observation room behind his?
Tiffany needs to call the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
You can totally see the cables pull the curtains away there, though. It's not a very successful shot.
They're like, wait
I like
a
how the
minute.
walls, I like how the walls break and you see all that cobweb kind of, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. And this is a grander entrance than they had in Hellraiser 1.
One thing that I think some people have mentioned before is that in the first Hellraiser, the Cenobites appear through lightning.
Yeah.
We only saw that happen again in Hellraiser Deader.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Right.
apart from that, they stuck to the tradition of Hellbound of opening up the walls and having them just walk in.
Yeah. So I never knew, watching this in the late 80s and early 90s, I didn't know that it was a different actress playing female Cenobite. I mean, not until much later.
Well, you can tell that it's different, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you pay close attention, definitely.
Yeah. But the problem of HD is, of course, is that when the female Cenobite is walking in, you can totally see the seam between the face appliance and the cowl. You can totally see like there's, a seam there.
Well, and Pinhead, didn't he have all black eyes in the first movie, right? And now he's got pupils and stuff.
No, he still has the black eyes. It was in the poster that they didn't put the contacts on. Remember the poster? He's got blue eyes.
Yeah.
Here's a nice, going to what Jose said, here's that nice kind of Dario Argento lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So this
With a
doesn't
weird-
have, like, the concrete blocks and stuff in the hallway. It's a little different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got vines and roots and stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's a...
It's more of a Dante's Inferno or something.
Yeah. That looks like pages from the script right there on the floor.
It does.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Property requirements.
Yeah.
That's what it says on one of them.
Wait until this movie's in like 4K, and then you'll really be able to see what exterior,
Oh, gosh.
interior day.
Yes. I don't know. Tiffany always looks like she's about to break into like an awkward smile or something.
That I never noticed that camera angle turning the whole room sideways like that. Is she really supposed to be tilting, or is it just the camera?
You never noticed that? I think that's really good because it transmits the disorientation of Christy when she wakes up.
Yeah, that's probably more what it's about. It's not really the house is twisting, but
One of the things that they also kind of stuck with for Hellraiser sequels to come was that every time the Cenobites appear, regardless of what sort of construction the room you're in is made of, there's always going to be the light coming through the slats of, a wall that's made out of stucco. Even though for example, Hellseeker, when Trevor is in the basement of the morgue, it's obviously a cinder block basement.
yeah,
But they still find a way to get the light through the stucco slats at some point.
I love this scene. My favorite scene, I think, in the movie.
Oh, this carnival.
Yeah, I mean, it's just creepy.
Oh yeah.
Dolly Dimples.
Yeah. And the clown. I just have an obsession with clowns and them, the eyeballs.
There's Catherine
right.
Chevalier. We had her on
Yeah.
the podcast, actually. We're probably the only podcast she's been on.
That's right.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And she was also Rachel in Nightbreed.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that the trauma that she, that makes her stop talking is actually what happened to her at the hospital.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this whole sequence is just very different from the rest of the movie, but it works very well.
Yeah.
When they show the face of the clown with the bleeding eye sockets, it just reminds me of like Michael Myers in Halloween 2.
Oh yeah, when he gets shot.
Yeah, shot through the eyes and lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can still see just fine.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. This beautiful glass painting.
Yeah, great stuff.
Cliff something. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy with the glass painting.
So I've got Kirsty running through the hallways right now.
Watch when she hits the wall. Oh, no, wait a minute.
So here we are in the new scene. She just sort of appeared right in this old house.
Cliff Cully. That's the guy who did the optic.
And there's the picture of Kirsty's mom. Somebody was like, "What are you talking about, Kirsty's mom?" On Facebook.
Oh, really? They didn't know this.
They didn't. I guess they didn't pay attention to this part.
Do you guys think that she died?
It sure seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's always got that impression.
Yeah, Larry doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would divorce somebody. I don't know. And somebody just yanked the leg out from under that dresser so it would fall over.
Well, wait a minute. They mentioned in the first film that she is dead. Remember that?
Her mother's dead.
Oh, right,
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. This scene first emerged in a Japanese Laserdisc, and then later it was put back into the movie. Again, like you brought up, Ryan, I have no idea who edited it back in. Maybe the people who were producing who were managing the later editions of the movie.
It doesn't hurt anything. I mean, the pacing is just odd in this movie anyway, so you might as well put it all back in.
Yeah, but for example, the surgeon scene, I think it didn't work at all. I saw it this morning, and the pacing is all wrong, and
if
shatter in the elevator.
Yeah, and if the scene is bad, then there's no reason for it.
Right. One of the NECA series of Hellraiser figurines actually brought with each figurine a piece that would. For the first series, I think it was you'd make the box, a plastic box. Yeah. But for the second or third one, I think you could build a giant Leviathan with a little light inside him, and that was cool.
In the third one, the third series, I think you could build the Pillar of Souls.
So his pins are still gold.
Yeah.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's so lucky that they didn't put that right into her.
I love the close-ups of the Cenobites here. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Image Animation.
God, I just love the Cenobites so much. They're so amazing.
Yeah, it felt like a big betrayal though when they get murdered here.
Yeah.
Well, I love that line, the way it echoes through the halls. Flash, flash.
And at the time, that was the last Hellraiser movie I'd seen, so it's kind of like, okay, now everybody's dead, and now what? Until Hellraiser 3 came out.
I agree with you. I wish there would have been a bigger fight, but at the end, Peter Atkins brings up a good point that they were kind of vulnerable.
Yeah.
In that moment, for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I think that it makes sense. I just don't like it.
Yeah, you just don't like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Pinhead wasn't really supposed to come back. I think at this movie they were trying to kill off Pinhead and be like, all right, Pinhead's dead.
And
they were going to make Julia. Yeah, they were going to make Julia the evil queen. But of course, Julia wasn't interested in becoming a slasher typecast. Actress. So.
And they always kept in the first four films. They were always trying to get that kind of villainous Female villainous across, even in Bloodline with Angelique.
Yeah.
Clive wanted to have that kind of character.
But not so much in 3, I guess.
No. He had nothing to do with 3. I mean,
not really. I mean, just a little.
Well, in 3, they had that actress that later went to play in a very successful role in Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, right.
Watch the wall. The wall just shaked there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she bumps into it.
And in high definition, all these vines and stuff kind of look like you're in a Spirit Halloween superstore or something, but
Like
advertising. Send us a check.
yeah.
I think it was in the Books of the Damned, the comic books that came out in the 90s from Marvel. It might have been written by John Rossum. There was a whole thing about this flora of hell that was like life invading the labyrinth of Leviathan. Whenever the doorway was open, that life would find a way to enter the labyrinth and start taking a hold there. And yeah, because honestly, why would there be vines in hell?
Yeah.
But it was kind of like this thing, like life trying to invade the confines of hell.
Well, yeah, and in that series, they when you go into the Nightbreed series, it was kind of like chaos versus order, and Leviathan was all about death and order and stillness, and the Nightbreed were chaos and life.
Right.
So it was inevitable that they would go to war at some point.
Again, Cliff Cully's beautiful glass painting of the labyrinth.
Yeah.
I guess in that analogy that movie critic was talking about the Minotaur, I guess he would call the Minotaur would be the engineer monster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the engineer was supposed to come back in this scene for a small moment, right? I've seen pictures or something.
Oh. Jeez. Yeah, wow. So, we've talked about this before, but I think it's a real shame that the Labyrinth and Leviathan just got sort of, dumped to the side in every single subsequent Hellraiser movie.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Well, like in Hellseeker or Deader, I think. In Deader, they do show when the reporter goes into the basement of the House of the Deaders, it kind of turns a little bit into like this weird looking basement that almost looks like it's got these arches and stuff, like it's almost part of the labyrinth. But I think that's more coincidence rather than intentional. Yep, in this part, in the original script, Chenard wanted to go back. Just before Dr. Chenard gets turned into Cenobite, he tells Julia he wants to go back. And then he would be like, enough, God, that's enough. We have to go back. And Julia would say, go back? What on earth makes you think we can go back? And then he would be like, I want to go back. And she would be, sorry, friend, no day trips to hell. Here you are, here you stay, and forward the only way to go.
Oh, so wow. That's cool.
That's a cool scene.
I like the dialogue.
Yeah, here he was just kind of helpless, and she just only kind of nudges him into that machine, and he's just kind of awestruck and doesn't fight back or do anything.
It's like being fed a bottle of something.
It's like some kind of a nipple or something.
Yeah. Another thing that we didn't see because it was cut from the script was that originally, Chenard obviously doesn't have a wife or anything. Where does he get the dress? There would have been a scene where Dr. Chenard, after he bandaged Julia, before that, he would be going to a shopping mall. He would buy the gown and return to Julia, who looks in the mirror trying it on. So I guess they just thought that was irrelevant.
It'd be hard to fit that into the movie.
Yeah.
A shopping mall in a Hellraiser film. You get the...
And here, when Kirsty walks through the door of 55 Ludovico Street in Hell, instead of being in the burning room where she meets Frank and Julia, she would find herself in the brothers' room, which was to be a plain room with a small table on which lie a hand of cards and a soiled ashtray. Over the far wall is a mattress, and to the side of this, a latticed wooden screen hiding Frank and Larry, who are joined from the elbow down to the wrist, like Siamese twins. When they see Kirsty, they begin to fight. At one stage, their free hands each have hold of the other by the throat and would roll around one of the walls, each trying to establish some dominant grip. They would smash violently against one of the walls in the room, which gives in, and they fall through to the next one, which is the knife room. So the knife room would be a small room with the exception of the doorway to the brothers' room. Every inch of the walls is covered with sharp and deadly-looking double-bladed knives. And Frank.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Going.
Oh, I just said that Frank would reach for a knife, say how convenient, and then Larry would tell the Kirsty, "Stay there, baby, don't come in." And Larry would impale Frank onto the knives, then pull a knife from the wall and separate himself from his brother.
I thought that the surgery was supposed to separate Frank and Larry.
No, the surgery would be because she would bring Larry out of hell, but he would be bleeding to death.
Yeah.
And then she would tell the surgeons. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She would be like, "Is he going to be all right?" And then they would say, "No, he's not going to be all right. He's going to die. He's got a ruptured aorta."
Exactly.
It was very different in the script.
Yeah, when Peter Atkins came to the set, he was expecting to see what you just described, Jose, and he was like, "What the hell is this movie?" When he came to, because he visited the set, and he was like, "Well, what's this scene?" But I think they had to do some changes because of budget.
Do you guys think that all that makeup there is Frank trying to reassemble his face with makeup?
Never really thought about it.
Good question.
Maybe, yeah.
Because there's a picture of his face and there's a whole bunch of makeup, and then when the fire starts, it seems like his face kind of melts away. Yeah,
that's a
I always thought it was maybe. I always thought it maybe it was for Kirsty to maybe get made up or something. You know, she comes to see him. I don't know.
Interesting.
Now this is Sean Chapman's original voice.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but he makes it gravelier to sound more like Hellraiser 1.
And an American accent.
Yeah.
He talked about how in the first one he didn't like how they dubbed him over because it changed kind of his performance for that character.
Do you guys think that shot of when he says, "Did you get my message?" and they insert a shot of the bedroom where it says, "I am in hell, help me," and then they cut back to him? That's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, you don't need to do things like that. People aren't, stupid.
It's a little too much on the nose, yeah. Especially since you already saw the image on the mirror say, "I am in hell, help me."
Yeah.
Exactly. I think this is great imagery though with the women, the phantom women or whatever, with covered in blood in the sheet.
Teasing him, yes, forever teasing him, but he could never do anything because as soon as he touched the sheet, they disappear.
And the candles, I like the candles. It's a nice set.
Must have been a nightmare for the fire marshal.
Yeah, I bet.
Because all that stuff is just, painted
Plastic.
paper, cardboard, yeah. He really comes off as very, very sleazy in this scene.
Yeah.
Does.
Here we see a little more of Frank's persona and his, how obsessed he is with, following his own pleasures, and how they torture him with that.
It's kind of interesting. Do you guys understand why this is happening right now? I mean, Frank knows. I mean, but he's not letting the rest of us in on this. She throws that sheet on there and everything explodes, and he knew that was going to happen. He's yelling no, and now his skin is melting.
Well, I guess it's just because she refused him, and this is hell, so...
Yeah.
Oh, and he's taken out some pieces of his skin.
Yeah, and he said, "Not my skin."
It's melting off.
He's kind of a narcissist, right? And that's why I asked about the makeup, because it seems like he had it's not his real skin. It seems like something that he made himself up to look normal again, but in reality, he's skinless in hell.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I like that.
Huh.
Think of it like that.
Like he wants to look, handsome, but he's denied that.
Yeah, it's not like he can, suck souls like he did on Earth to get skin again.
Right,
So,
right.
I mean, you bring up a good point. That
I guess they never got in touch after what happened in the first movie, even though they were both in hell.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting that these souls can just walk around here, especially, well, Julia can do that because she was sent back by Leviathan, so she's not subjected to being a prisoner like Frank is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that this whole segment has no Cenobites in it, and they're not needed
Yeah.
because the infernal presence in this scene is Julia.
And it's really interesting too how obsessed she was with him before, but now she's completely over him. She totally just looks down on him now.
Murder has a way of doing that.
Yeah.
Love how that fire just erupted behind her.
She actually got a little
Oops.
singed by that fire because she was a little too close to
That's
it.
right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now,
They dropped that and they didn't pick it up again?
Now this is where the moment where I've seen pictures where the engineer shows up somewhere and was what's supposed to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, Jose?
Yes.
Picture. Yeah.
There's a picture of the engineer in Hellbound, and it was just never used. But they had a brand new sculpt of the engineer. It looked better than the first one, I thought. It looked a little more sleek, and yeah.
Was it in the script, or was it just something they did on day of filming?
I think it was in the script.
Was it? Okay.
I'd have to check. I know that there's a scene where there's people with prop technicians, and there's a picture of the engineer, and the engineer is like standing close to Julia's skin, which means it was a later scene in the movie.
Do you think that this puzzle box looking thing that Shenard comes out of is sort of like the monkish cells that Doug Bradley had mentioned from Hellraiser?
Yeah.
That got
Kind
left
of
out.
in a way.
I think people always refer to this as kind of like the Cenobite maker,
Yeah.
more like a
that's
sarcophagus.
yeah. I wonder
Is
if it might have been a leftover something, from the original Hellraiser.
Yeah, here comes the Penosaurus.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Seriously, that's what they called it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had a blast doing this, like Image Animation. There are several pictures of behind the scenes where they were like just putting it in between their legs and like laughing it up and
wow.
in the studio and stuff. Yeah.
That's great.
There's also several people who played the Shenard. I think at least a couple of stunt guys, or maybe just one. You can tell that it's not Ken Cranham in some of those scenes. That it seems like it's a different face structure.
It's in the flying shots.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany says, "Nope, sorry, I gotta solve that puzzle."
There's a video provided by Jeff Portis that was posted to the Seraphim Inc. YouTube channel. It's a lot of behind-the-scenes videos about Hellbound, and we'll add that to the show notes. There's like 81 videos on that playlist,
Jeez.
including the surgeon scene. And in one of these, we see them practicing the prosthetic that happens here when the skin starts coming loose at the shoulder. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then there's the deleted scene, right, where the engineer comes up and like snuffles at Julia's skin.
Right.
Maybe it just felt way out of place. It just comes out of nowhere, and that's probably why it was cut. Now this is where after this was where the surgeon scene took place.
Yeah.
Quick question. Why do you guys think that Julia was taken like that? because Julia obviously was somehow connected or was sent back with a purpose. I guess her purpose was done because Leviathan wanted Channard, and he got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you're right. She was being used as well. Leviathan is.
So yeah, I mean, was that supposed to suck people up so that Leviathan could eat them or something? Or
I think it was just supposed to catch them, but Julia got caught in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like if she was really connected to Leviathan, then there was so much more that Julia could do for him. You know, she could bring back more souls or something.
Yeah.
Like Julia said, he wanted souls, and I brought you.
Yeah.
You know,
he could make a whole army of Cenobites if
yeah.
You know, Julia could keep coming back.
So it seems like Julia's arc ends in kind of an abrupt way in the movie, and if you think about it for a while, why does it end so abruptly? What happens there? It's like, did Leviathan just sabotage himself there?
Originally, there were supposed to be more scenes of hell, I think, in the script that show how hell's coming into Earth. What was it? Wasn't there a scene? Okay, we're going to see whether Chatter has. You can see his eyes. Wasn't there? There was a scene that showed him getting some kind of clip.
Apparently, mental patients don't have any sense of pain.
There was supposed to be a scene written in the script that would show Chatter being in some sort of like
beauty parlor or something.
Beauty parlor in hell, getting like the scar tissue flap taken out of his face, and then you would reveal his eyes.
Yeah. You see that in the trailer.
Because, well, you just see in the trailer, you see him in the elevator scene that's part of the surgeon scene. But I don't think it was ever filmed, that whole thing with him, like, revealing his eyes or getting the scar tissue taken out. I think they just didn't do that.
Okay. I agree. I agree. I think the lines. I didn't like that he got so hammy with these like one-liners.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's his audience supposed to be? They don't. None of those people are going to appreciate that. So now the Chatterer has his eyes.
I think for every Hellraiser fan out there, whenever you hear this tinkling sound, it just transports you back to Hellraiser 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to play. So it strikes me, did she know the picture was supposed to be Pinhead, or did she just realize that?
I think she knew. I think she knew it when she put it in her pocket.
Right.
But I couldn't say that for sure, but that's the way I took it.
Just the lines of Pinhead. Pinhead always had great lines, like "Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell."
Yeah.
Remember that story Peter told us about how Toady Randall wanted to take that line out because he didn't want there to be
a mention of hell.
Oh,
yeah, he took the line out where he just said like he stopped at like your pain will be legendary.
Yeah.
It just stopped there.
But it's referenced as hell in the first movie too. She says go to hell, and they say we can't, not alone.
Well, shucks, the movie is called Hellraiser.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's Hellbound. Yeah.
That's what we talked about when we talked to him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of conversation, especially from the old Hellraiser forums, about, Leviathan killed Pinhead because of the sin of remembrance. And that's just made up stuff from the fans. I mean, there's no such thing as a sin of remembrance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like you guys are useless to me now that, now that you're remembering
that you remember
human lives. Yeah.
Yeah. That you have doubts, that you question. Yeah.
Although, obviously, obviously Channard still remembers his past life.
I love that finger coming out of that snake and just going like, "Come here, Tiffany."
Yeah.
That looks so hokey. Oh man, this is one of the scenes in the Hellraiser franchises that has spawned the most animated GIFs. especially these shots of Pinhead just looking to the side and then looking back slowly. It's like, they're just amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I just, it's just like, at this point, from this point on, it's kind of like, oh.
When I first saw this, I was expecting a big fight scene. I will say this.
Yeah.
I started getting really excited.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, well, now we get to see what the Chatterer can do, and what and
they die.
Yeah, female Cenobite can do, and it's like, no, they just stand there and make faces at him.
But I did think it was cool. It kind of showed them, oh, these people are, they're all. When he showed the Chatterer as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and none of those people are actually the actors who play the Cenobites.
Yeah.
That kind of bummed them out, actually.
Yeah.
They didn't they wish they could have been
The Chatterer being a kid is actually very disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what happened there. What was the story behind that?
Yeah, how did they get him to look human again, or look?
And
like
they show Tiffany looking at the kid, really scared. And I wonder if Tiffany's thinking was that a kid who also opened up puzzles like her?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they did a story in the Epic Hellraiser comics about him. I could be wrong.
I remember that Nicholas Vince wrote a story about the Chatterer called Look See.
Yeah.
Where he said it was a comedian from the 30s or something.
Oh, cool. I've not read that.
Okay, I'll add that to the show notes.
Yeah, he was kind of his response to, to this scene.
And he references Clive Barker in the story as if Clive Barker was a guy who used the real story of the Chatterer to that makeup thing is really awesome. Where, the throat slice there.
That got cut down a lot.
Yes.
That was
like you said earlier, in the scene that I saw in my VHS, that was over before it began.
Yeah.
Maybe he sobs once and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Meanwhile, at the Chenard Institute, Leviathan just showed up right over the top of the Institute. I don't think I ever noticed that before.
Yeah.
Just
for
in
a couple
of quick frames, yeah. Wow. None of them even got up out of their beds.
No.
Crazies have taken over the Institute.
Yeah. And Kirsty's like, why would you want to go back in there?
My question is, did they ever leave hell? Is this Chenard Institute really the Chenard Institute, or is this some sort of hellish version of it?
Yeah, I think because no one ever closed the box, so it sort of took over the hospital.
Yeah, it was becoming a part. The hell was coming to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
More so than it did on Hell on Earth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We got one chase scene.
Yeah. With manholes flying up in the air.
Yeah.
So here's another thing from the script. Kirsty and Tiffany run back, and the movie now continues from the scene where the hospital ward is filled with patients trying to open the box, and where the evil Dr. Chenard comes through the window and says the doctor is in. After Pinhead is killed and his throat is sliced open, there is a small scene as Kirsty and Tiffany burst out into the corridor and almost fall over the patient in the wheelchair. And this is the one guy you can still see in the surgeon scene. The 105-year-old guy. He says, "So what, girlies? It's okay for an ego trip, but it just doesn't get the job done."
Jeez. It's almost an Escher painting.
Clive had a lot of problems with the ratings board about this, and that they had to cut a lot of stuff from it.
Mm.
Clive was going to have a cameo appearance.
Oh, really?
At the end, on the
Yeah.
Pillar of Souls.
Oh, that's
There's
right.
a picture.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if that was it, but yeah, it says, "I was going to have a cameo appearance, and then we cut it out. It wasn't very good. I didn't have a performance. I just came in with a piece of special effects on my face, but it wasn't anything we took terribly seriously." So yeah, you're right. It was probably the Pillar of Souls scene where he would just have some appliance and makeup put on, and he would be one of the faces on it at the end.
Yeah.
So this hell has got a lot of mental torture, I guess, in it. Leviathan shines its black light on you, and it makes you remember traumatic stuff.
All the bad things, yeah.
Yeah.
Leviathan's filled, I guess, with a lot of mental torture of everybody that comes there.
Yeah.
And opens their, the box.
The only thing
knows their past or something like that.
The only thing I criticize about this movie is that usually a good horror movie has to have some sort of rules, and this movie doesn't seem to have a lot of rules.
No.
It seems to make things up as they go along, or the characters all of a sudden know that there's this rule they have to follow, but they never explain to the audience how they find out that.
Yeah.
One of the things is Tiffany discovering that it's a puzzle, and, I guess because she's obsessed with puzzles, but
that makes
how
her,
would she know
she's
that...
a puzzle expert.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, hey, this thing looks like Leviathan. Maybe if I change this, it'll change that.
Yeah, I guess I can see that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch, but kind of like Kirsty understanding everything about what happened to her in the first movie.
Hey, I remember seeing these hand snakes for sale at the prop store.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I know some Hellraiser fans, or one or two, who has these props. Like, they're framed and everything. It's pretty impressive. Like, that's not Ken
Yeah, I
Cramer,
was
right?
just looking at that, too. That looked like totally like a different guy. But all this close-up stuff
the close-ups are him, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the costume they did for Chenard.
I do, too.
It's very much on par with the other costumes for the Cenobites, but it's very original.
Mm-hmm. He just talks too much.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that. His lines aren't as the movie. When he first showed up, he was all kind of Freddy Krueger like with his lines, but then it became more, not as silly.
Yeah.
He's laughing, I know, but I don't consider that.
So now, I guess if he's pushing her towards that Cenobite chamber box, then maybe he is supposed to be taking Julia's place.
So here's what Nicholas Spence had to say about the Chatterer. He said, when he was thinking of the character, Clive had this image of a chattering monkey in his mind, and there's nothing else he can do. I mean, it's anger, it's fear, it's excitement. It's the reverse reason is that he's so angry he can't see, he can't hear what's going on, being angry against the world. But at the same time, he's got to be careful because he can be hurt.
Wow.
And then he goes on to talk about the scene of the elevator where he loses his fingers. He says, it was when he was being mean. He chases Kirsty and Tiffany down a corridor and into a lift and gets trapped in the lift, and his fingers get trapped in the lift and move down the door, and they get cut off. It was a lovely piece because of the way the fingers happened to end up, with a central finger pointed up while all the others curved down. I think, to be honest, it took us too far away from the original vision that he didn't need to behave in that way.
Yeah.
I disagree with Nick here because I saw the surgeon scene, and I just don't think it works.
No.
Especially when Cheddar gets his hand trapped and he starts screaming like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
So do you think this scene happened because she solved the puzzle box and now Leviathan's sort of going crazy?
It's more like he's weakened, like he's put to sleep or something. I always thought it was like he's being put to sleep because he's changing his configuration.
But then his tentacles are kind of flailing around, right, and rips his head off.
Right. Because the idea is that Chenard was connected directly to Leviathan.
Yeah.
But the tentacle is still like leftover from the original idea of Leviathan being a Cthulhu-like creature, like a big pulsating glob of evil with tentacles. Except here, he has no tentacles coming out of him. So, there's stuff that got lost in the changes.
In the script called The Great Wound?
The Great Wound?
Yeah, The Great Wound was what the original name of the Leviathan was called.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they talk about that in the Scarlet Box book that Phil and Sarah did.
Oh, cool. Okay, I don't have that. So
originally spat out like this kind of embryonic sac, and that's how the Cenobites were formed.
Oh, wow!
I don't remember.
That's fantastic.
Huh.
Well, it comes from the Arrow book, the Arrow set.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how
but-
much time it would have taken Kirsty to put all this on?
Yeah, I know. I mean,
She's like, hey, happy ending, I'm covered with blood.
Actually, that's made out of corn syrup, and it's really sticky. Every time Ashley Lawrence talked about this scene, she says, that was really sticky, and it made me really cold.
Yeah, I've been there.
this was a very red movie. They used
Yeah.
red a lot as a color, and this is definitely bloody.
Yeah. So do you think that the idea was that maybe they were she destroyed Hell by changing that puzzle box? If she
I don't
was,
see it
then-
that way.
if
I just
she
think
was,
he
it's
got
pretty
weakened.
weak. Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought of this as Leviathan becoming being put to sleep in a way, and so he's changing his configuration. I see Leviathan as kind of like a godlike machine or something,
Yeah.
Well, you think this was like a hibernation or something?
Yeah, something like that.
But all,
know
those,
those things are
all
souls.
these, those are souls, right? That are all flying
Mhm.
out of him.
You can see faces on them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they have faces, and one of them goes like,
Yes.
they look like sperms.
yeah.
Being shot out. That's what Peter Atkins said on the commentary.
The one that gets caught in the
Yeah.
doors.
He's like, oh.
It's like being caught in the subway door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, what is all that dirt on the bed there?
It was from the souls exploding parts of the bedroom and stuff like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Here's another little thing from the end. After all this stuff happens, after Pinhead is killed, and oh geez, sorry. Maybe we can
Bless
cut
you.
that out. At the end, when we see Kirsty and Tiffany walk up the garden path out of the hospital, only Tiffany goes. Kirsty stays behind with their father, who's making a rapid recovery. And Kirsty says, so, what are you going to do? Open a game shop somewhere? Sell jigsaw puzzles? And Tiffany says, oh, yeah. Kirsty says, well, goodbye. And Tiffany would reply, it's been hell.
They actually shot that stuff.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did. They say it on the commentary on that DVD of yours. If you listen
Open
to
a
Peter
puzzle
Atkins.
shop? Yeah, you think she'd say,
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with puzzles, I think.
And then Tiffany would say, it's been hell.
Oh.
Yeah, that was
Tiffany turns and walks down the long path to the hospital gates. Kirsty turns and re-enters the institute. The camera tracks back to the window of the recovery room, and we watch through the window as Kirsty enters the room. She bends to kiss her father's cheek. Larry slips an arm around her shoulders and they embrace. The camera moves away again.
So there's the same moving man from Hellraiser, Peliquin.
Yes,
Oliver
Oliver
Park.
Parker.
Yeah.
This is the obsession room, right?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, great.
Like-
Yes, this is
Oh.
the obsession room.
So,
He's like, oh, great,
yeah.
another mattress.
And all this stuff shows back up again. The boxes in part 3 at that pyramid gallery.
Mm-hmm. Chomp.
That palm tree doesn't look too happy.
Looks totally out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would he have a palm tree in his house?
So again, this would be a different ending. Instead of the pillar rising out of the mattress, Julia does. Julia
Yeah.
would be fully fleshed, fully skinned, fully dressed. She is in a replica of the dress Chenard bought for her, but this one is jet black. She looks fabulous. As the workman stands open-mouthed, her feet clear the mattress, but they don't stop there. She
Yeah.
slows to a graceful halt about 6 inches above the mattress. She stretches and flexes her arms sensually. Then her head swivels and her excited, aroused eyes meet those of the workman. I'm Julia. Love me.
Love me, yeah.
Suddenly, her head tips back, and accompanied by Julia's delighted laughter, a white beam of hell's black light flies at the ceiling from her open mouth. Instantaneously, it spills across the ceiling and falls like a fountain of blood across the screen. Complete blackness, credits roll.
Yeah. But I like what they did here with What Is
Yeah, I
Your
did too.
Pleasure, Sir? That was really cool to bring that guy back. Who he wasn't in any of the he wasn't in Hellraiser 2 at all, not even in the flashbacks, right?
No.
No.
So that's kind
Well,
of
he
a
is now.
neat way to bring him around.
Yeah. Ronson was played by Angus McInnes,
Yeah.
and the other two cops were Officer Cortez and Kucic. And there we go.
I think I personally, it's my taste. I personally enjoy Hellbound.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a better film than Hellraiser made, but I enjoy it more than the first film. I guess maybe on the sense of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it's taken the series in a direction. I wish that would have been it seemed like the original intentions for the third film were to go, again, expand the mythology. If there's a script for Hellraiser 3 that was written by Peter Atkins that wasn't used, that actually was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I would have taken everything in a different direction, especially they would kind of revamp Pinhead's character. He would be brought back from a weird sort of vat in a ceremony done by a renegade priest, and he would collect like pieces of Pinhead from the torture pillar and throw them in a vat and resurrect him.
Well, and
so here
the Hellraiser 3 that we got, that pillar is so different from the one at the end of Hellraiser 2. You kind of wonder, is this supposed to be the same thing?
Yeah.
I don't think of it as the same thing. I think of it as like a sarcophagus for Pinhead's essence.
Yeah.
But it's really the only thing that connects Hellraiser 2 to Hellraiser 3 besides that video footage of Kirsty.
I may be wrong, but in Hellraiser 3 they call that the soul pillar and not the torture pillar.
Oh.
Those are different
Okay.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, but the torture pillar really, exists. It came out of the mattress, and then there's a pillar with Pinhead's face on it in the next movie.
Oh yeah, good point. Huh. I don't know. I just remember that they called it the soul pillar in a few things. So I always thought it was separate things. Like that torture pillar would be something that would come out, like the Cenobites would bring it out to torture people.
Yeah.
Like you see several of those in Hellraiser 1 and 2. So, but that's a possibility. I guess maybe it would change and grow through the years and make itself more attractive.
To lure people. Yeah. Definitely, I could see that.
Yeah.
What's the next commentary, guys? Is it
Hellraiser 3? Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And then we're doing Candyman 1 and 2, and then Midnight Meat Train, and that's the last one.
I have to say, I just like the fact that all movies have this at the end. The events and characters of this film are fictitious and are not intended to refer to actual persons and events.
Yeah, I know.
After watching this movie,
They've got to put.
Yeah.
Oh boy! So this is an awesome film. It's one of my favorite Hellraisers. Like I said, I usually go for Hellraiser 1 and 2. It's kind of like a double feature for me.
Yeah.
I think they're perfect companion movies. And to me, someone should edit the whole thing like into just one big movie. So yeah, this was really fun doing this with you guys. So
yeah, definitely, it's always a great pleasure to talk with you guys.
Yeah.
So next, we did this one a little out of sequence because we had a slight delay with our Imagica episode. But next should be a Imagica episode, and then we'll probably do another commentary for Hellraiser 3.
All right. Well, stay tuned for that, guys, and I hope you enjoy the commentary.
You can find the show notes for this page and lots of Clive Barker news and features at www.clivebarkercast.com. Leave comments there or get them directly into the podcast by clicking the Send Voicemail tab on the right. Please follow us on Twitter at BarkerCast or at Occupy Midian. Like us on Facebook and join the Occupy Midian Facebook group. You can listen on the site or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, TuneIn, Pocket Cast, Google Play, and Double Twist. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Please take a couple of minutes to leave us a review on iTunes. It means the world to us and helps us spread the word about Clive Barker. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial fan site and podcast that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Films. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
for listening.